A lost artifact hums with a power we can barely comprehend. Some objects carry a weight far beyond their physical form, touched by centuries of devotion and shadowed by enigma. We are about to embark on a journey through 30 of these sacred relics, each one radiating a profound and undeniable mystery. By the end, you will possess a deeper understanding of the world's most captivating historical puzzles. We will uncover why a simple stone is kissed by millions and investigate the true purpose of a 2,000-year-old computer. What hidden story connects humanity to these powerful objects? A chest of acacia wood, entirely overlaid in pure gold, was said to be more than a reliquary. It was a throne. The Ark of the Covenant, described with meticulous detail in the book of Exodus, was not merely a container for the stone tablets of the law. It was the very focal point of divine presence for the ancient Israelites, a conduit of power that defied all understanding. Its lid, a solid gold slab known as the mercy seat, was flanked by 2 cherubim with wings outstretched, and it was from this space that the voice of God was believed to emanate. But this power was terrifyingly absolute. The scriptures recount how the ark could part the waters of the Jordan River, laying the riverbed dry for the people to cross. It could topple the walls of Jericho with a blast of sound, and it possessed a lethal sanctity, striking down those who touched it without the proper reverence, as if the object itself was charged with a celestial energy mortals could not withstand. Then, around the 6th century before the Common Era, following the Babylonian conquest of Jerusalem, the Ark vanishes from the historical record. Its fate becomes one of history's greatest enigmas. One enduring theory claims it was smuggled to Ethiopia, where it is said to reside to this day within a chapel in the town of Axum, guarded by a single monk who dedicates his entire life to its protection. Another suggests it was hidden in a labyrinth of tunnels deep beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, sealed away for centuries. Others speculate it was taken to Egypt or even Europe, its golden form melted down and lost forever. This mystery has fueled an intense, unending quest. From clandestine archaeological digs to high-tech surveys, the search for the Ark continues, driven by a powerful question. Could an object of such profound significance simply have been destroyed, or does it still wait in some hidden chamber, its ancient power silently humming, waiting to be found once more? That same divine power sought a different vessel, a simple cup that would eclipse even the Ark in the reach of its legend. The Holy Grail stands as perhaps the ultimate object of spiritual quest, a symbol so potent it has transformed across centuries. While often imagined as the chalice from the Last Supper, its story quickly deepens into something far richer and more enigmatic. In the sprawling tales of King Arthur and his knights, the Grail is not merely a physical relic to be found. It represents a direct connection to the divine, a source of ultimate grace and eternal life that can only be perceived by the purest of heart. The quest for it becomes the ultimate test of spiritual worth, a journey inward as much as it is a search through the wilderness. Yet what the Grail actually is remains fiercely debated. One enduring theory, heavily popularized by modern fiction, suggests the Grail is not a cup at all, but a bloodline, the literal descendants of Jesus, a concept often referred to as the Sangreal. Another, far older legend from medieval romance describes the Grail as an emerald of immense power, a stone that fell from the crown of the fallen angel Lucifer himself. This version presents the Grail as a relic of celestial origins, its green light a beacon of otherworldly knowledge. With such compelling mysteries, it is no wonder specific locations fiercely claim to hold the true artifact. Glastonbury in England, a place steeped in Arthurian myth, is often cited as the final resting place of the Grail, linked to the ancient Isle of Avalon. Across the sea, the Valencia Cathedral in Spain displays a revered agate cup, venerated for centuries as the actual Holy Grail used at the Last Supper, its deep, polished stone a silent witness to millennia of faith. The Grail's enduring power lies in this very ambiguity. It is a physical object, a spiritual concept, and a personal revelation all at once. Its mystery continues to captivate because it asks a question that resonates with every seeker. What form would divine grace take if you were finally to find it? That quest for divine connection finds a terrifyingly sharp point in an object of a very different nature. The Spear of Destiny, also known as the Holy Lance, is the weapon said to have pierced the side of Jesus Christ as he hung upon the cross. According to the Gospel of John, this act was performed by a Roman soldier named Longinus, a man who, in that moment, was transformed from a simple centurion into a pivotal figure in sacred history. But the legend of the spear did not end at Golgotha. It grew into a prophecy of immense and terrifying scope, a belief that whoever possessed this relic and truly understood its power would hold the destiny of the entire world in their hands. This belief in its world-altering power forged a path through history that reads like a chronicle of empire. Emperor Constantine the Great, the first Roman emperor to convert to Christianity, was said to have carried a holy lance into battle, believing it granted him divine favor. Centuries later, the great Frankish king Charlemagne supposedly wielded it, and legend claims he was undefeated in 47 campaigns, only meeting his end when he accidentally dropped the spear. The allure of this power stretched into the modern era, with perhaps its most infamous seeker being Adolf Hitler. He first saw the spear displayed in the Hofburg Palace in Vienna as a young, struggling artist, and he became utterly obsessed. After the annexation of Austria, one of his first acts was to seize the artifact, transporting it to Nuremberg, where he believed its mystical energy would secure his vision of a 1,000-year Reich. This historical trail forces us to confront the profound psychological power of such an object. The mere belief that one holds a key to global dominion can reshape the ambitions of leaders and alter the course of nations. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where the conviction of power itself becomes the source of that power. Yet this also creates a deep and unresolved mystery, for there is not one but several spears that claim to be the true relic. The most prominent rests today back in the Hofburg Palace in Vienna, its blade secured within a golden casing. Another, housed in the sacred Echmiadzin Cathedral in Armenia, is revered by the Armenian Apostolic Church as the genuine article. And still others exist in Rome and even Krakow. So which of these, if any, is the spear that touched the side of Christ? The question may be less about physical authenticity and more about the enduring force of the legend itself. The true power of the Spear of Destiny lies not in its iron, but in the unshakable human belief that history itself can be commanded by a single, sacred object. A different kind of sacred object carries its testimony not in prophecy, but in a silent, haunting image. The Shroud of Turin is a length of ancient linen 14 feet long, and upon its surface rests the faint, straw-colored imprint of a man who appears to have suffered the torturous death of crucifixion. For millions of believers, this is not merely an image, it is the actual burial cloth of Jesus Christ, a divine relic that captured the moment of resurrection. The ghostly figure shows the wounds of the crown of thorns, the lacerations from a scourging, and a piercing in the side, all corresponding perfectly with the gospel accounts. Yet this is where the mystery truly begins, because the nature of the image defies all simple explanation. It is not a painting, it is in fact a perfect photographic negative. When the first photograph was taken of the shroud in 1898, the negative plate revealed a startlingly clear and positive image, a face of profound serenity and detail that was entirely hidden to the naked eye. This discovery catapulted the shroud from a matter of faith into a relentless scientific puzzle. How could a medieval artist have created a perfect negative centuries before the invention of photography? The enigma deepens further. The image on the cloth is not made from any known pigment. It resides only on the very topmost microfibers of the linen threads, as if it were a superficial scorch. Even more baffling, the intensity of the coloration perfectly encodes three-dimensional information. When researchers used advanced image analyzers developed for the NASA space program, they found that the darkness of the image precisely corresponds to the distance between the cloth and the body it once covered, allowing them to create a startlingly lifelike three-dimensional model of the man. This is a feat completely impossible for any forger of any era to have accomplished with the technology of the time. The scientific controversy reached its peak in 1988, when radiocarbon dating tests were performed on a small sample of the cloth. The results placed its origin squarely in the medieval period between 1260 and 1390. For many, this was the final secular word, proving the shroud a clever forgery. But the mystery refused to die. Critics immediately pointed to potential problems with the sample, suggesting it could have been taken from a section of the cloth that was expertly rewoven after a medieval fire, or that the carbon dating was skewed by centuries of contamination from bacteria, fungi, and the carbon monoxide in the air of centuries of candle smoke. Other, more radical theories propose that the image was created by a brief, intense burst of radiation, a flash of light emanating from the body itself at the moment of resurrection, which would have both created the image and altered the carbon signature, making the cloth appear younger than it truly is. So we are left with an object that science cannot yet fully explain, a relic that sits precisely at the crossroads of faith and reason. It asks a question that neither can fully answer on its own. Is it the most incredible archaeological forgery ever created? Or is it a physical testament to a moment that transcends the physical world, its true nature still just beyond our grasp? While the shroud presents a mystery of light and image, another sacred object draws its power from profound darkness. In the very heart of the Grand Mosque in Mecca, within a courtyard walked by millions, stands the most sacred structure in Islam, the Kaaba. And embedded in its eastern corner is the Black Stone, a relic of such immense spiritual gravity that it forms the focal point of the Hajj pilgrimage. Every year, believers from across the globe strive to touch or kiss this ancient stone as they circle the Kaaba, a ritual tracing back to the Prophet Muhammad himself. Its physical form is both humble and enigmatic, a dark, fragmented rock, polished smooth by countless centuries of reverent hands and devoted lips, now carefully held together by a gleaming silver frame. But what is this object that commands such universal veneration? Its origins are shrouded in celestial mystery. Islamic tradition teaches that the Black Stone was a divine gift given to the Prophet Abraham by the angel Gabriel. An even older narrative suggests it descended from heaven itself as a guide for Adam and Eve after their expulsion from the Garden of Eden, a pure white stone that was blackened by the sins of humanity over the ages. This profound origin story places it not just as a stone, but as a direct link between the earthly and the divine. The question of its fundamental nature has sparked centuries of scientific and theological curiosity. The most popular theory posits that it is a meteorite, a celestial wanderer that fell to Earth, its otherworldly origin explaining its sacred status. Yet scientific analysis is nearly impossible due to the stone's sanctity, and its appearance does not perfectly match known meteorite types. Other researchers suggest it could be an impactite, a type of glass formed by the immense heat and pressure of a meteorite strike, or perhaps a rare form of volcanic rock like basalt. The truth remains sealed within its silver casing, protected by faith. For the millions who complete the Tawaf, the ritual circling of the Kaaba, the Black Stone is not a geological specimen to be analyzed. It is the right hand of God on earth, a point of spiritual contact where a prayer is heard, a covenant renewed, and a mystery embraced. Its power lies not in what we can prove it to be, but in the unbroken chain of devotion it has witnessed for millennia. From the profound darkness of a sacred stone, we turn to a mystery of pure light and judgment. Deep within the lore of the Hebrew Bible lies a pair of objects whose very names evoke a sense of the mystical, the Urim and the Thummim. These were not idols or monuments, but sacred tools of divination, reserved exclusively for the high priest to discern the will of God for the nation of Israel. Their names are often translated as lights and perfections, or perhaps truth and righteousness, hinting at their function as divine intermediaries. Yet, for all their importance, the Bible never explicitly describes what they were. This silence has echoed for millennia, creating one of the most tantalizing puzzles of the ancient world. Were they two specially shaped stones, perhaps kept within a pouch in the high priest's ornate breastplate? Some scholars suggest they were flat plates cast like lots to deliver a verdict. Others imagine them as dice, thrown to reveal a yes or no answer from the divine. The most captivating theory proposes they were gems set within the breastplate itself, which would supernaturally illuminate or darken in sequence to spell out messages from God. Imagine the scene in the tabernacle, the air thick with incense and anticipation, as the high priest stood before the people, his chest ablaze with 12 glittering gems. A question of war or peace would be posed, and the community would watch breathless for a flicker of light in the stones, a celestial code being written in real time. This was not magic, but sacred communication, a direct line for guidance in moments of national crisis. Then, as suddenly as they appear in the narrative, they vanish. After the time of King David and his son Solomon, the Urim and Thummim are never mentioned again as being actively used. They slip from the pages of history, leaving behind only their luminous names and a void of speculation. Did the knowledge of their use die with the priesthood during the Babylonian exile? Were they lost or perhaps intentionally retired when prophecy became the primary mode of divine communication? Their disappearance is as profound as their mystery. We are left with the ghost of a function, the echo of a practice, and a fundamental question about how humanity has always sought a clear sign from the heavens, a definitive yes or no in a world shrouded in uncertainty. The search for a clear yes or no from the divine stands in stark contrast to a quest that consumed the Western mind for centuries, a pursuit not for answers but for ultimate power over nature itself. The Philosopher's Stone is the legendary heart of alchemy, a substance whispered to hold two impossible abilities. The first was the transmutation of base metals, the power to turn a lump of common lead into shimmering, perfect gold. The second was even more profound, the creation of the elixir of life, a potion granting immortality to the one who mastered its secrets. Yet to see the stone as merely a recipe for wealth and eternal youth is to miss its true, deeper mystery. For the master alchemists, the physical process was always a mirror for a spiritual one. The long, arduous work in the laboratory, with its furnaces and strange vessels, was an external drama reflecting the internal purification of the alchemist's own soul. The goal was not just to create gold from lead, but to transform the base, fallen human spirit into a perfected, enlightened state. The Philosopher's Stone, therefore, was the ultimate symbol of spiritual enlightenment and perfection, a tangible representation of a divine state achieved within. This grand quest has faces, and perhaps the most famous is Nicolas Flamel, a real-life 14th century French scribe. After his death, a powerful legend grew around him, claiming he and his wife Perenelle had actually discovered the secret of the stone, achieving immense wealth and immortality. The stories say they faked their deaths and still walk among us, guardians of the ultimate alchemical secret. While the historical Flame was likely just a wealthy man who funded charitable works, his mythological self became an icon, a testament to how deeply the dream of the stone was woven into the culture. And it was this very dream, this relentless drive to unlock the stone's secret, that fueled centuries of what we would now call scientific inquiry. These early alchemists working in smoky laboratories were the direct forerunners of modern chemists. They pioneered fundamental laboratory techniques, discovered new elements and compounds, and invented crucial equipment like the beaker and the distillation flask, all in their single-minded hunt for a mythical object. Their ultimate secret, however, remains locked away not in a vault but in their own cryptic, illustrated texts. These manuscripts are beautiful, maddening puzzles, filled with dragons and kings, suns and moons, all representing chemical processes and spiritual stages in a coded language meant only for the initiated. So the stone's final mystery is this: were these texts merely the failed recipes of proto-scientists, or were they always intended as spiritual roadmaps, their true gold never meant to be physical at all? The quest for the stone may have died, but the human yearning it represented for transformation and transcendence continues to burn just as brightly. That ancient yearning for transformation takes on a far more tangible and chilling form in the polished depths of the crystal skulls. These are not abstract concepts, but physical objects of breathtaking craftsmanship, life-sized human skulls carved with impossible precision from a single block of clear or milky quartz. Their smooth, glassy surfaces and perfect anatomical detail have long been attributed to ancient Mesoamerican masters, the Aztecs or the Maya, said to be vessels of esoteric knowledge or powerful oracles. The most famous of all is the Mitchell-Hedges skull, named for the adventurer who claimed to have discovered it in the 1920s, deep within a lost city in Belize. Its story is the stuff of high adventure, complete with a removable jawbone carved from the same flawless piece of rock crystal, a feature found in no other known skull. The central mystery is one of pure technique. How could any ancient civilization, even with bronze or stone tools, have achieved such a feat? Quartz crystal is one of the hardest substances on Earth, only workable with modern diamond-tipped tools. To carve, polish, and hollow out a block of it without creating fractures or tool marks seems to defy the very history of technology. This inexplicable perfection fueled one of the most dramatic claims, that the skulls were not of this world at all, but were relics salvaged from the doomed, advanced civilization of Atlantis, holding the secrets of a lost age. Yet, as with all the best mysteries, science eventually demanded a voice. In 2008, a team of researchers used advanced electron microscopy to examine the most famous skulls, including the one at the British Museum and the one in Paris. Their findings were definitive. The microscopic patterns of abrasion on the crystal were unmistakably made by high-speed rotary wheels coated in industrial diamond or carborundum, tools that simply did not exist before the 19th century. The evidence pointed conclusively to a workshop in 19th century Germany, a center for creating such curios to feed a European fascination with the exotic and the occult. So the case was closed, a grand hoax exposed, but was it? The aura of the skulls refused to shatter. The Mitchell-Hedges skull, for instance, has never been subjected to the same level of invasive testing, and its proponents hold fast to its enigmatic origins. More profoundly, the skulls had already escaped the confines of mere artifacts to become cultural icons, embedded in our collective imagination through films like Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where they are portrayed as powerful psychic amplifiers with extraterrestrial origins. Their true power, it seems, was never in their Atlantean pedigree, but in their perfect, uncanny form. A human skull is a universal symbol of mortality, while crystal represents clarity, energy, and the eternal. The combination creates an object that speaks directly to our deepest fascinations with life, death, and the possibility of knowledge lost to time. They are a perfect mystery, one where the scientific truth and the enduring legend are now forever intertwined, each giving the other its compelling power. The uncanny image of a face on cloth finds a poignant echo in a relic born from a single, compassionate act. On the road to Calvary, as Jesus struggled beneath the weight of the cross, a woman stepped from the crowd. Her name was Veronica, and in a moment of profound empathy, she offered her veil to wipe the sweat and blood from his face. When she pulled the cloth back, the Christian tradition holds that a perfect image of his holy face had been miraculously imprinted upon it. This was not a painting nor a work of human hands, but a true icon, an Akira Poietos. In fact, the very name Veronica is said to derive from the Latin phrase vera icon, meaning true image. This story transformed a simple piece of fabric into one of the most cherished relics in Christendom, a direct, tangible witness to the suffering and divinity of Christ. Yet, like so many sacred objects, its historical path is anything but clear. Throughout the Middle Ages, various versions of the veil appeared across Europe, each venerated as the true cloth. One was prominently displayed in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, while others emerged in places as far apart as Milan and Jaén, Spain. This multiplication of relics creates a deep historical puzzle. How could there be more than one true image? The version most widely recognized today is the one kept in a secluded chapel within St. Peter's, high above the statue of St. Veronica. It is encased in an elaborate frame and protected from the light, only very rarely displayed to the public. This infrequent viewing only adds to its aura of mystery and sanctity. The debate over its authenticity is as old as the relic itself. Skeptics point to the lack of any historical record of Veronica or her veil in the biblical Gospels, with the story first appearing in later devotional texts. Scientific analysis, though extremely limited due to the relic's sacred status, has never been able to confirm a miraculous origin. The image is faint, and some suggest it could be the remains of a now faded painting. But for the faithful, such questions miss the entire point. The power of the veil of Veronica does not rest on carbon dating or historical documentation. Its power lies in the story itself, in the timeless human impulse to offer comfort in the face of suffering, and in the hope that such an act of pure compassion could itself leave a permanent mark on the world. It asks us whether our object's greatest truth might be found not in its physical provenance, but in the enduring power of the faith and the story it inspires. A true image of compassion is one form of miracle, but a technological marvel preserved for millennia is another kind of wonder entirely. While the silent, stoic ranks of the terracotta army are world famous, the true shock for archaeologists came not from the soldiers themselves, but from what they held in their hands. When the first pit was uncovered in the 1970s, researchers expected to find little more than the ghosts of ancient weapons, simple bronze shapes corroded into the earth. Instead, they unearthed a cache of swords, spearheads, and crossbow triggers so perfectly preserved they still gleamed with a deadly, metallic shine. Their edges were sharp enough to draw blood, and their mechanisms moved with smooth, functional precision. These weapons had lain in damp soil for over 2,000 years, yet they showed almost no sign of rust. The secret was a microscopic layer of protection, an advanced chromium oxide coating that had shielded the bronze from decay. This was not a simple varnish or a lucky patina. It was a sophisticated anti-corrosion technique that the modern world would not develop and patent until the 20th century. The presence of this coating is a historical anomaly that defies our understanding of ancient technology. How did the artisans of the Qin dynasty, over 2,200 years ago, achieve such a feat of chemical engineering? The process likely involved a complex treatment using chromium-rich compounds from specific ores, creating a passive layer on the metal only millionths of a meter thick. This was not a crude, accidental discovery, but a deliberate and masterfully applied technology, a closely guarded state secret of the first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. He was a ruler obsessed with immortality and power, and he intended for this army to protect him in the afterlife for all eternity. In a profound irony, the very technology that preserved his weapons for this eternal duty was lost to the world upon his death. The secret of the chromium coating was buried with him, along with the knowledge of how his artisans created such uniformly sharp, durable, and flawless bronze on an industrial scale for an army of thousands. This was not just a craft, it was a systematized imperial production line whose methods vanished for centuries. The mystery forces us to reconsider the very definition of technological progress. We often imagine a straight, upward line of advancement, but history is filled with peaks and valleys of knowledge. The Qin dynasty metallurgists reached a peak that would not be climbed again for generations, their brilliant secret silenced by time and earth, waiting for a future age to rediscover it and marvel at what was once known and then forgotten. From the silent, chromium-coated weapons of an emperor's eternal guard, we journey to stones that roared with approval for kings. Some thrones are built of gold and velvet, but the true legitimacy of a ruler was once believed to reside in the very rock they stood upon. In the rolling green landscape of Ireland, atop the ancient hill of Tara, rests the Lia Fail, the stone of destiny. This unassuming granite pillar was far more than a symbol, it was an oracle. Irish legend proclaimed that this stone would let out a mighty roar, a cry that could be heard across the land when the one true High King of Ireland placed his foot upon it. It was a living test of sovereignty, a divine judge that could not be deceived by wealth or bloodline alone. The chosen king would feel the stone come alive beneath his feet, its voice confirming his sacred right to rule. But the story of this stone stretches far beyond the mists of Irish myth. A profound legend connects the Lia Fail to one of the most foundational stories of the Bible. It is said to be the very stone that the patriarch Jacob used as a pillow at Bethel, the stone upon which he dreamed of a ladder reaching to heaven and received a covenant from God. This would make it not just an Irish relic, but a traveler from the Holy Land, a piece of the promised land itself. Across the sea, another stone carried a similar, immense weight of destiny. The Stone of Scone, also known as the Stone of Destiny, was for centuries the sacred coronation stone of the Scottish kings at Scone Abbey. Its own mythology is just as grand, with tales claiming it was the very same pillow of Jacob, transported from the Holy Land through Egypt, Sicily, and Spain before finally reaching Scotland. This shared origin story for two powerful stones creates a fascinating puzzle. Were they rival claimants to the same divine heritage, or are they, in some lost chapter of history, actually the same stone? History records a dramatic chapter that binds these two objects forever. In 1296, the powerful English king Edward I invaded Scotland. Determined to crush Scottish sovereignty, he seized their most potent symbol of kingship, the Stone of Scone, and carried it to London. There, it was fitted into a special compartment beneath the coronation chair in Westminster Abbey. For the next 700 years, every English and later British monarch was crowned while sitting directly above this captured Scottish stone, a permanent physical reminder of domination. Yet the stone's story was not over. In 1950, a group of 4 Scottish students, driven by national pride, pulled off a daring heist, stealing the stone from Westminster Abbey and bringing it back to Scotland. It was recovered a few months later and returned to London, but the act had reignited the flame of its symbolic power. Finally, in 1996, in a gesture of political reconciliation, the British government officially returned the Stone of Scone to Scotland, where it now resides in Edinburgh Castle alongside the Scottish crown jewels. The Lia Fail remains silent on its hill in Ireland, and the Stone of Scone rests in its Scottish castle, yet both continue to radiate the ancient mystery of sacred kingship. Their true origins are lost to time, but their power endures, asking us whether the right to rule comes from men or from the divine voice within a stone. The voice of a stone that roars for a king is one kind of power, but the quiet presence of a single tooth holds a different kind of sovereignty entirely. In the heart of Kandy, Sri Lanka, within the sacred temple of the tooth, lies a relic that has shaped the destiny of an entire nation. This is the sacred tooth relic, believed to be the left canine tooth of the Buddha himself, snatched from his funeral pyre in the 5th century before the Common Era. It is not merely venerated, it is considered the very living presence of the Buddha, and by extension, the legitimate authority to rule the island. For centuries, the possession of this relic was synonymous with the right to govern. Kings built magnificent temples to house it, and its protection was the primary duty of the state. The golden casket that contains the tooth is itself a masterpiece, but it is only the outermost layer. The actual relic is enshrined within a series of nested caskets, like a spiritual Russian doll, with the innermost one never displayed to the public. This practice preserves its mystery, making the relic an object of faith rather than public spectacle. The belief in its protective power is absolute. It is said that as long as the tooth remains safe in Sri Lanka, the Dhamma, the Buddha's teachings, will flourish there. This conviction has made the temple a target for attack throughout history, and it is guarded today with a reverence that borders on the militaristic, a testament to its enduring role as the spiritual heart of a nation. A similar silent guardian watches over the Kingdom of Thailand, though its form is that of a serene meditator. High upon a golden pedestal within the Grand Palace in Bangkok sits the Emerald Buddha. Carved not from emerald but from a single, flawless block of vibrant green jade, this figurine is only about 26 inches tall, yet it carries the weight of a nation. It is venerated as the Palladium of Thailand, a sacred object upon which the safety and prosperity of the entire country is believed to depend. The King of Thailand himself presides over a seasonal ritual, personally changing the elaborate golden robes that adorn the statue 3 times a year to correspond with the hot, cool, and rainy seasons, a direct act of service that links the monarchy to the divine. The origins of this figure are shrouded in enchanting legend. One tale claims it was discovered in the year 1434, when a lightning strike split open a crumbling stupa in Chiang Rai, revealing the statue hidden within, covered in stucco and glittering with gold leaf. The monks, thinking it was a simple Buddha image, placed it in their temple. Later, the stucco on its nose began to flake away, revealing the radiant green jade beneath, and the true marvel was unveiled. Another, more mystical story suggests it was created in India by a celestial being, and that it traveled through the hands of kings and empires before finding its eternal home in Bangkok. The mystery of its creation is profound. How was such a hard stone so exquisitely carved with such ancient tools? The smooth, perfect lines of the statue seem to defy the limitations of the era from which it supposedly came. Both the tooth and the jade Buddha share a common, powerful thread. They are not passive artifacts but active participants in the fate of their people. They represent a covenant, a belief that the careful, reverent guardianship of a sacred object is the very price of national peace and stability. Their true power lies in this unshakable faith, a force that has guided empires and comforted millions for centuries. Yet the polished perfection of the Mitchell Hedges skull holds a much darker legend than mere lost cities. Many refer to it as the Skull of Doom, a name that whispers of a chilling purpose. The story goes that ancient Mayan high priests could use this flawless crystal object to focus their will and project death over great distances. It was said to be a psychic weapon, an instrument of judgment that could curse an enemy or blight an entire harvest with nothing more than a focused thought channeled through the skull's quartz structure. This legend claims the skull possesses its own malevolent consciousness, a force that brings misfortune, illness, or even death to those who would mock it or handle it without the proper reverence. While this ominous reputation is almost certainly a modern invention, spun from the threads of adventure novels and occult fascination, it raises a profound question about the objects we have been exploring. How much of their perceived power is an inherent property, and how much is a story we project onto them, a narrative that then takes on a life of its own? The Skull of Doom, regardless of its true origins, has become a vessel for our deepest fears about concentrated, unseen power. From a supposed tool of directed death, we turn to a carving that suggests a spark of ancient life. Deep within the Temple of Hathor at Dendera in Egypt, a sprawling bas-relief covers a stone wall, depicting what appears to be a startlingly modern scene. Within a large, elongated container reminiscent of a giant light bulb, a snake stretches down a central line. This serpent is held at one end by a god, while a pillar seems to support the entire device, and a cable-like cord runs from its base to a box that is gripped by a seated deity. To many who see it, the interpretation is immediate and electrifying. This is the Dendera light, clear evidence that the ancient Egyptians possessed and used some form of electric lighting, a technology lost for millennia before its rediscovery in the modern era. Proponents of this theory argue that the long, bulb-like object is a Crookes tube, an early type of electrical light, and that the snake represents the filament glowing with brilliant harnessed energy. They ask how else the builders of the pyramids could have illuminated the deep, windowless chambers where not a single trace of soot from torches has ever been found. This idea of a lost, advanced technology is incredibly compelling, suggesting a historical timeline far different from the one we accept. Mainstream archaeology, however, offers a different, deeply symbolic explanation. Egyptologists point to the full context of the temple, which is dedicated to the goddess Hathor, the deity of the sky, fertility, and rebirth. In their view, the scene is a well-known representation of a foundational Egyptian myth. The serpent, they explain, is a symbol of the god Harsomptus, associated with the rising sun and the power of creation. The entire tableau depicts the moment of a divine birth, the snake emerging from a lotus flower, which itself symbolizes creation, and the pillar is the jed, a symbol of stability. The so-called cable is a lotus stem, and the box is a divine womb. It is a spiritual story carved in stone, not a technical diagram, so we are left with two competing visions of the ancient world. One is a place of high priests wielding psychic crystal skulls and engineers harnessing electric light, a civilization of advanced knowledge that vanished into the sands. The other is a world of profound symbolic thought, where every carving held layers of mythological meaning that we, from our technological vantage point, struggle to fully grasp. The true mystery of the Skull of Doom and the Dendera light may not be what they actually were, but what they reveal about our own desperate desire to find our reflection in the distant past. While one cloth captured a full body image, another tells a story of finality through stark biological evidence. Housed in the Cathedral of Oviedo in Spain, the sudarium is a simple, stained piece of linen, much smaller and more worn than the famed shroud. This is not a shroud, but a sudarium, a face cloth. Tradition holds it was wrapped around the head of Jesus in the tomb after his death on the cross to soak up the blood and other bodily fluids. Its stains are not a mysterious image, but a brutal forensic record. They map out the precise pattern of pulmonary edema fluid, a substance that pours from the nose and mouth of a crucified person, mixed with significant amounts of blood from scalp wounds. This grim detail aligns perfectly with the gospel accounts of his suffering. The compelling mystery, however, deepens when you place this cloth alongside the Shroud of Turin. Researchers have meticulously studied the stain patterns on both relics. Their astonishing claim is that the stains on the sudarium align perfectly with the bloodstains on the head area of the Shroud of Turin, as if both cloths were used on the same man in sequence. Even more striking, pollen analysis has been conducted on both cloths. The sudarium was found to contain pollen grains native to the area around Jerusalem, suggesting its origin in the Holy Land. The implications are staggering, pointing to a tangible, physical connection between two of Christianity's most venerated objects, separated by geography but potentially united by a single, tragic event. Across the ocean, a different kind of cloth defies the ravages of time with a vibrancy that science cannot explain. In Mexico City, the tilma of Juan Diego is a sacred object of a living culture. This simple cloak, woven from the coarse fibers of the Megi cactus, should have turned to dust centuries ago. This type of fabric is notoriously fragile, typically decaying completely within just 20 to 30 years. Yet, nearly 500 years after the apparitions in 1531, the tilma remains perfectly intact. The vibrant image of Our Lady of Guadalupe imprinted upon it shows no signs of fading or cracking, despite being exposed to candle smoke, humidity, and the touch of countless millions of pilgrims for generations. The image itself is a cascade of mysteries. In the 1950s, a doctor examining the Virgin's eyes with an ophthalmoscope made a startling observation. He claimed the eyes exhibited the optical phenomenon known as the Purkinje-Sanson effect, where light is reflected in the corneas in a way that mimics a living human eye. Even more incredibly, he and others since have reported seeing tiny, reflected human figures deep within the pupils, as if the image captured the very moment Juan Diego stood before the bishop, unfolding his tilma to reveal the miraculous sign. Skeptics, of course, have proposed natural explanations, suggesting the image is a skillful painting. Yet scientific analysis has repeatedly failed to identify any known brushstrokes or pigments on the surface. The colors seem to float above the fabric, and the tilma itself acts as a kind of natural temperature regulator, maintaining a constant, healthy human body temperature. These two cloths, one from a tomb in Jerusalem and one from a hill in Mexico, challenge our understanding in different ways. One offers a brutal, forensic testimony, while the other presents a living, inexplicable icon. Together, they ask whether some objects are not merely artifacts of history, but active participants in a story that continues to unfold. A game of kings frozen in time lay hidden in a sandbank on the Isle of Lewis. These are the Norse Lewis chessmen, 93 intricate pieces carved from walrus ivory and whale tooth, their faces a captivating mix of solemnity and quiet humor. With their wide eyes, long beards, and hands clutching shields or biting their lips in thought, they are more than gaming pieces. They are a window into the medieval Norse world. Their very presence on that remote Scottish island is the first layer of the puzzle. Carved in the 12th century, likely in a workshop in Norway or perhaps Iceland, they represent a luxury item of immense value. So why were they abandoned in a small drystone chamber, carefully stashed as if for safekeeping? Were they the stock of a merchant traveling the sea routes, hidden during a storm or from raiders, never to be retrieved? Or did they belong to a local chieftain, a treasured set buried in a moment of crisis? The mystery of their concealment is as deep as the ocean that surrounds the island, a silent story of a sudden departure, a lost owner, or a secret that died with the one who hid them. Yet, if the chessmen represent a frozen moment of human strategy, another discovery from the sea reveals a mind that sought to map the cosmos itself. Recovered from an ancient Roman-era shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera, a corroded lump of bronze and wood initially seemed like just another piece of debris. But upon closer inspection, it revealed itself to be the most technologically complex object from the ancient world, a device so advanced it would not be rivaled for over 1,000 years. This is the Antikythera Mechanism, an ancient Greek analog computer. Through painstaking analysis, researchers have deciphered its purpose. It was a celestial calculator, an intricate clockwork of at least 30 interlocking bronze gears housed in a wooden case. By turning a hand crank, the user could predict the movements of the sun and moon, the positions of planets, and even the timing of lunar and solar eclipses. It displayed the 4-year cycle of the Panhellenic Games, the ancient Olympics, and accounted for the irregular orbit of the moon with a sophisticated differential gear, a level of engineering precision not seen again until the 18th century. This single device shatters our linear view of technological progress. Its existence proves that a branch of Greek science had achieved a mechanical understanding of the universe that was utterly lost in the subsequent centuries. The knowledge required to build such a mechanism, the theories of celestial motion and the craftsmanship in bronze, simply vanished from the historical record, perhaps a casualty of political upheaval, lost manuscripts, or the burning of libraries. The profound mystery it poses is not just how it was made, but why this path of inquiry was abandoned. Did this technology represent a dead end, or was it a glimpse of a scientific revolution that never was, its genius silenced by the deep, dark waters of time? While the Antikythera Mechanism charted the cosmos, other stones carried messages meant for the Earth itself. Tucked away in the mountains of North Carolina, the Judaculla rock is a massive soapstone boulder utterly covered in a dense tapestry of ancient carvings. There are over 1,500 petroglyphs etched into its surface, a chaotic yet deliberate collection of circles, footprints, human figures, and mysterious geometric patterns. Cherokee legend does not attribute these markings to human hands alone. They speak of Judaculla, a towering, slant-eyed giant who was the master of animals and lord of the hunt. It is said he could leap across mountains in a single bound, and this rock was his territorial marker. One story tells of a group of hunters who trespassed into his domain, and with a single swipe of his giant hand, Judaculla scraped the stone, leaving behind these grooves as a permanent warning. The true purpose of the carvings remains one of North America's great archaeological puzzles. Were they a celestial map marking star patterns important to the Cherokee? Could they have been a ritual site for hunting magic, a place to ensure a successful hunt by appealing to the giant spirit? Or were they a sophisticated form of land survey, outlining territorial boundaries, hunting grounds, and sacred trails for generations who knew how to read the stone's story? The rock offers no easy answers, its silent language waiting for a key that may be lost to time. Centuries later, another mysterious stone monument appeared, but its message was starkly modern and its creators deliberately anonymous. In 1980, in a remote field in Georgia, a set of towering granite slabs was erected under the cover of secrecy. These were the Georgia Guidestones, often called America's Stonehenge. The monument stood nearly 20 feet high, with a capstone resting on 4 massive pillars, each inscribed with a set of 10 guidelines for humanity in 8 different modern languages. A smaller message was carved at the top in 4 ancient scripts: Babylonian cuneiform, Classical Greek, Sanskrit, and Egyptian hieroglyphics. These 10 points advocated for a new age of reason, calling on humanity to maintain the global population below 500 million, to guide reproduction wisely, to unite humanity with a new living language, and to avoid petty laws and useless officials. The identity of the person or group who commissioned the stones using the pseudonym R.C. Christian was a closely guarded secret, known only to the banker who handled the trust and the granite company that executed the work. This secrecy, combined with the stone's unsettling directives about population control, fueled decades of intense speculation. Were they a blueprint for a new world order, a sinister plan for global depopulation? Or were they a well-intentioned, if eccentric, attempt to create a durable guide for humanity to avoid self-destruction, a message in a bottle for a future civilization? The mystery only deepened when the monument was heavily damaged by a bomb in 2022 and then completely demolished by the state for safety reasons shortly after. Their physical form is now gone, but the questions they raised linger powerfully. The Judaculla rock and the Georgia Guidestones represent 2 poles of mystery. One is an ancient relic whose meaning is lost in the fog of millennia, a puzzle from a world we can no longer fully access. The other was a modern enigma, a message whose intent was deliberately obscured by its own creators, sparking fears and theories in our own time. One stone was shaped by myth and giant hands, the other by an anonymous vision of the future. Together, they remind us that humanity has always felt the need to carve its deepest beliefs and most urgent warnings into the enduring flesh of stone, leaving behind puzzles for the ages. The human fascination with sacred objects extends even to the most intimate fragments of the physical body. Among the most contentious of all relics are those said to be the holy prepuce, the bodily foreskin of the infant Jesus, preserved from his circumcision. In the fervent religious climate of the Middle Ages, various churches across Europe claim to possess this unique relic, from the Lateran Basilica in Rome to monasteries in France and Spain. The very existence of such an object sparked profound theological debate. If Christ ascended bodily into heaven, how could a physical part of him remain on earth? Some theologians argued that while his glorified body ascended, the parts separated before his death, like this foreskin, were left behind as holy gifts to the faithful. This created a strange and mysterious marketplace of devotion, where multiple towns boasted of owning the one true prepuce, each claiming their relic produced miracles and attracted pilgrims, creating a puzzle of authenticity that faith alone could not resolve. This peculiar relic embodies a deeper mystery, the human need to touch the divine in the most tangible way possible, even when it leads to seemingly irreconcilable contradictions. That same desperate need for a physical connection attaches itself to a far more grisly and famous relic, the severed head of John the Baptist. The biblical story is clear. The prophet was beheaded at the request of Salome, and his head was presented on a platter. But the story of what happened to that head after the feast is where history dissolves into a maze of competing claims. The Umayyad Mosque in Damascus holds one of the most revered versions, believed by many Muslims to be the final resting place of the prophet Yahya, John the Baptist, his head entombed in a beautiful shrine. Yet, across the Mediterranean, the Church of San Silvestro in Rome also claims to possess the saint's cranium. And these are not the only claimants. The Cathedral of Amiens in France, a monastery in Armenia, and even a location in Munich all put forward their own sacred skulls as the genuine article. This proliferation creates a macabre mystery. How can there be so many heads of one man? Some explanations suggest that over centuries, fragments of the relic were distributed, with each location receiving a portion, yet many of these are claimed to be the complete skull. The enduring power of this relic and its many contenders speaks to the primal force of martyrdom. To possess the head of the great forerunner, the voice crying out in the wilderness, is to hold a direct link to the very foundation of faith, a grisly but potent symbol of conviction that continues to draw the faithful and the curious into its unresolved and deeply human mystery. A clay jar can hold more than just wine or grain. The Baghdad battery, discovered in the ruins of an ancient Mesopotamian village, is a simple terracotta pot dating back nearly 2,000 years. Inside, a carefully rolled copper cylinder houses a single iron rod, and traces of an acidic substance like vinegar or wine were found within. To some researchers, this assembly bears a striking resemblance to a primitive galvanic cell. If filled with an electrolyte, this artifact could have produced a small but measurable electric current, a full millennium before the principles of electricity were formally understood in the modern world. The most compelling theory suggests it might have been used for electroplating, perhaps to deposit a thin layer of gold onto silver objects, a practice known to exist in the region. Yet this idea is met with deep skepticism. No wires have ever been found with such jars, nor any electroplated objects that can be definitively linked to their use. Critics argue it could just as easily have been a sacred container for storing precious scrolls, the acidic residue merely from decomposed papyrus. The true purpose of this object remains an open circuit, a spark of ancient genius that either fizzled out or points to a technological path not taken. It forces us to wonder how many other simple jars held secrets we have overlooked entirely. If the Baghdad battery is a puzzle of physical function, then the Voynich Manuscript is a labyrinth of pure information. This is a book that refuses to be read. Its 240 vellum pages are filled from edge to edge with a flowing, unknown script, a cipher that has defied every single attempt at decipherment by the world's top cryptographers, linguists, and mathematicians. The text is accompanied by illustrations that are somehow both detailed and utterly alien. There are pages of plants that do not correspond to any known species on Earth, their roots and leaves arranged in impossible biological configurations. Astronomical charts show unfamiliar constellations and celestial spheres, and perhaps most strangely, entire sections depict tiny, nude women bathing in an intricate, interconnected system of green pools and pipes. Since its rediscovery in the early 20th century by a Polish book dealer named Wilfred Voynich, the manuscript has been carbon dated to the early 15th century, placing it firmly in the Renaissance. Yet its author, its purpose, and its language are complete blanks. Is it an encoded book of medieval secrets, a sophisticated hoax designed to fool a wealthy patron, or the work of a mind operating on a fundamentally different symbolic plane? Every proposed solution, from a lost Asian language to a complex visual code, has crumbled under scrutiny. The Voynich Manuscript is a siren's call for the curious, a tangible reminder that in an age where we can decode the human genome, there still exists a book sitting on a library shelf whose first word we cannot even understand. 2 coins weathered by ice and time were found among the skeletal remains of the Franklin expedition. These were not ordinary currency. They were British 1-penny pieces minted in the 1840s, but they had been meticulously altered by an unknown crew member. The face of Queen Victoria had been carefully scraped away, and on the reverse, the figure of Britannia was transformed. A tiny hole was drilled where her head would be, and 4 lines were etched to create a crude but unmistakable set of crosshairs. These modified coins are believed to be improvised sighting tools for the ship's navigational instruments, a desperate attempt to recalibrate their sextants after the original sights were lost or broken. They tell a silent story of ingenuity in the face of a slow, chilling doom, as the 2 ships HMS Erebus and HMS Terror became hopelessly trapped in the Arctic ice. The very fact that someone took the time to perform such delicate work speaks volumes about their deteriorating situation. It was a last-ditch effort to find their way home, using the coins of the realm they served to now save their own lives, a poignant and heartbreaking mystery etched in cold copper. From the frozen silence of the Arctic, we travel to the isolated mystery of a Pacific island. Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, is famous for its towering moai statues, but it holds another, even more elusive secret. These are the Rongorongo tablets, wooden artifacts covered in a unique and beautiful script. The glyphs flow in a rhythm called reverse Boustrafedon, meaning the lines of text are read left to right, but then the tablet is flipped upside down to read the next line, so the writing direction alternates with each row. It is a complex, systematic writing system, the only one known to have been invented independently in the ancient Pacific, yet its meaning is a complete blank. No one alive today can read a single word. The tablets were first discovered by Western missionaries in the 1860s, but by then, the knowledge of Rongorongo had been extinguished. Slave raiders had decimated the island's population, taking the learned elders who held the key to the script. The few who remained could only say that the tablets contained sacred chants and genealogies, the very history and soul of their people. Was it a creation myth, a record of kings, or an astronomical calendar? Each attempt at decipherment has failed, crashing against the same impenetrable wall. The Rongorongo script is the last, lonely voice of a lost culture, a wooden library whose shelves are full of books we can no longer open, its stories forever trapped behind a beautiful, silent code. Standing in the heart of Delhi for 16 centuries, a 7-meter column of iron defies one of nature's most relentless laws. The iron pillar of Delhi shows not a single spot of the rust that should have consumed it 1,000 years over. Forged in the 4th century during the powerful Gupta Empire, its Sanskrit inscriptions sing praises to a king and, more importantly, to the Hindu god Vishnu, in whose temple complex it originally stood. It was both a monument to divine power and a staggering technological achievement, one that modern metallurgy has only recently begun to comprehend. The secret lies not in any magical coating, but in the very composition of the metal itself. Ancient Indian ironsmiths, through a process lost to us, created an alloy with an unusually high phosphorus content and a very low sulfur and manganese content. This precise chemical recipe is the key. When the pillar was first erected, the high phosphorus ion reacted with the oxygen in the air and moisture, but instead of forming the destructive, flaking scales of regular rust, it fostered the growth of a remarkably thin, even, and protective film known as a passive layer. This film, only a few thousandths of a millimeter thick, acts as an invisible shield, preventing the underlying metal from further corrosion. It is a self-healing barrier that has grown stronger and more resilient with each passing century. Modern engineers attempting to replicate this feat have found it incredibly difficult, as contemporary steel production methods introduce elements that prevent the formation of this specific, perfect passive layer. The pillar thus stands as a silent, enduring witness to a forgotten science, a masterpiece of ancient craftsmanship that achieved through intuition and skill what our own technology struggles to recreate. It asks a humbling question: how many other secrets of durability and balance did past civilizations master, only for that knowledge to vanish into the sands of time, leaving behind only a rust-proof sentinel to mark their passing? A final journey across the waves carries us to a quiet cave in the Philippines where a single clay vessel holds an entire cosmology. The Manungol jar, crafted over 2,000 years ago during the late Neolithic period, is far more than a burial jar. It is a national treasure and a breathtaking work of art, its surface burnished to a deep reddish brown and adorned with elegant, swirling patterns. But its true marvel is the lid, a scene of profound and delicate beauty. Seated in a small boat paddling calmly towards an unseen horizon are two figures. The one in front is the soul of the deceased, while the figure behind is the spirit guide, steering them both on their final voyage across the sea to the afterlife. This intricate depiction is not merely decorative, it is a direct window into the sophisticated spiritual beliefs of the people who created it. They saw death not as an end, but as a journey, a soul voyage across the celestial waters to join the ancestors. The boat itself is a masterpiece of symbolic design, its prow and stern curling into elegant spirals that resemble the head and tail of a great sea serpent, a mythical creature that would have protected the soul on its perilous passage. The mystery this jar presents is one of lost narratives. Who were these master artisans of the Taban Caves, capable of such profound artistry and philosophical thought so long ago? Their society left no written records, their voices silenced by millennia. Yet this one jar speaks volumes about a complex maritime culture that lived in harmony with the sea, drawing from it not just sustenance, but the very structure of their spiritual universe. The vessel reveals a people with a deep understanding of life, death, and what lies beyond, their worldview as vast and interconnected as the ocean they navigated. It stands as a poignant reminder of the countless stories and intricate belief systems that flourished across Southeast Asia, their echoes now only surviving in the silent, elegant curves of a sacred clay jar, forever carrying its two souls into eternity. 30 sacred objects, each a vessel for humanity's deepest questions, now rest in our collective imagination. From a golden chest channeling divine power to a Greek computer mapping the heavens, these artifacts form a constellation of human yearning. They are not merely stone, metal, or cloth, but mirrors reflecting our timeless desire to touch the divine, to command destiny, and to find meaning in a vast and mysterious universe. This journey reveals a common thread woven through every relic, a thread of faith, of curiosity, and an unshakable belief that the physical world holds gateways to something far greater than ourselves. Whether through the spiritual quest for the Holy Grail or the technological genius of the rust-proof iron pillar, we see the same impulse to build a bridge between our mortal lives and the eternal. So as this exploration concludes, we turn the final question over to you. Which of these profound mysteries resonates most deeply in your own mind? Is it the silent testimony of the Shroud of Turin, the lost power of the Ark, or the forgotten knowledge of the Antikythera Mechanism? The conversation does not have to end here. Share your own theories and thoughts in the comments below and join a community of fellow seekers. If these enigmas captivated you, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more journeys into history's greatest puzzles. The search for understanding is a quest we all